I really don't care who hears this. The deal is this. Over 15 years ago, approximately 15 years ago, I invited some illegal Mexican drug cartels to stay with me. The Bloomingdale police seen them, my former landlord, John Sendelchek, when I was in Section 8 housing, almost evicted me over them. My partner, Arnold Starr, got all that dismissed, and they left all of a sudden magically. The first night that I met them at the Blue Moon Cafe, now the Trackside Bar in Butler, who knows me, and Christina, the old barmaid there, who knows me, and the new bartender there, Tammy, who used to live with me. Let me just make it very clear. These were illegal aliens. They told me they were there illegal. I felt bad for them because they lost their job temporarily. They're making like $1,000 a week or more in cash. And I needed help. And I said that, you could stay with me up to 30 days at least. I think maybe they stayed with me 1 month, which is a legal limit, so I couldn't be evicted anyway. But the first night I met them, I've always, because genius minds like myself that were worried about these things you define as terrorist ones that you created, I always had the question, Al-Qaeda will try anything, including, the CIA is looking for wrong people. They only look for, Muslims, people that speak Arabic, and it's discriminatory. Al-Qaeda certainly was trained by the CIA. We gave them weapons. Look, I don't have to tell anybody in the CIA how well trained Osama bin Laden was, and that's why he had to be killed. So it's always crossed my mind, my dad's right. Yeah, they're using Indians, 7-Elevens, people of nationality, and bribing other nationalities to act for them, and using undue influence over those people that you aren't looking for, like really old Muslims or radicals, Indians, Pakistanians, Iranian, Turks, that you don't even look out for because they don't fit your stupid stereotype or discriminatory stereotype that you define as a thing called terrorist in America or anywhere else. And that's why Kadovich got in with diplomatic immunity. He was at the United Nations 4 years. I worked with him personally from 1999 to 2002. And he stayed there, I think, to 2004. He was kept out of the paper. When I called the FBI and told him recently, and 10 times I got hung up on. They never even heard of him. Finally, I called one more time, and they did. You don't get an investigator at the Newark FBI. They're cocky. They decide whether you do or whether they hang up the phone on you. In my several cases, one about my discrimination, about my Jean Stark-Frankel case, and also in the Kadovich, they recorded me for approximately 20, and in the Kadovich case, 45 minutes. They said they're going to take the case, including the Hills boarding house attempted murder against me and my service animal. The Department of Justice did the same, and they recommended I call the FBI and give it a shot. Anyway, they finally did record my Kadovich information before they hung up 45 minutes. You don't get that from the FBI an hour worth at a time. Real investigators, terrorist investigators, FBI time, unless they do take you serious. Jeannie, that goes for you too, BOSTINWICK. I filed, Judge Judi, I filed Department of Justice complaints against every single person I've ever met in New Jersey, including Harry J. Shortway, because the Department of Justice defines crimes against disabled people, me, by judges or detectives committing attempted murder. They can throw them off the court. They can get monetary settlements. I get a handful of free U.S. attorneys for investigators, and it takes a while, maybe 1 year, 2 years, but it's not overnight, but I'm willing to wait. I forward them all my evidence. Tapes I have of Jeannie saying she's going to give me the car and $25,000 on speakerphone with her father. So, and Judge Judi, I already know. I spoke to a dozen lawyers. I know, although I can't pay them, the nonprofit ones working for the government told me that I have a letter from the governor, state of New Jersey. You can't overrule his letter stating that he says he can pardon a death penalty. He can write a letter saying he makes the final decision, so you can't overturn them at the county level. Maybe without a letter you can, but I've had more legal training than you. You can't do it with a letter, and you can't. If you want to try, I'll just appeal, and also I'm going to sue Jean Stark-Frankel, BOSTINWICK, you all, because I can file a personal civil case against anyone for using undue process against me. You're all Democrats. Jean Stark-Frankel is giving millions and millions of dollars to Biden, Hillary. Her father gave me all the dirt, and I have check stubs. Wait till my unauthorized biography of Jean Stark-Frankel comes out. I know her history, I have her clothes, her Barbies, I know the first jobs, her hates, her likes, her boyfriends. I know everything. Her father had her talk at least 7 or 5 hours a day straight about his daughter, tell me everything about her. He also said that, Jill, you're a genius compared to my dumb daughter, Jeannie. She'll never have the brains that you do, although she has lots of money. And she'll try to take that from me, too. That's why I'm leaving you the life insurance. It should be virtually impossible, but she'll probably try. Even though she has $30 million, she spent almost $500,000 in the past year using undue process against me, regardless whether I appeal what happens to this measly $30,000 case, Jean, Starr, FRANKEL, and Barry. You're going to lose it all. Your father already gave me $7 million because I gave him information about my travels with my parents in the CIA. He sold it to Germany and Angela Merkel. So there goes your retirement anyway. Now, it's none of your business what I did with it. He gave me artwork, he gave me U.S. tobacco stock, call it $10 million. But still, I demand the money from you, at least $100,000, and irrefutable damages for using undue process knowingly against me. The Boston law firm knew or didn't check into. Ignorance is no excuse to break the law. Mr. Bostinwick, you're not going to have a law firm because I filed a complaint against your law firm too with the Department of Justice and the FBI for taking on the case. Jeannie, Barry, Judge Judi, and whoever else I think is involved. You'll be hearing from them. You won't have any money left when this is done, Jeannie, because I gave you you wanted me to settle it for $1,000. You want your Judge Judi to say on a recorded discovery that I recorded that she's going to make mistakes unless I do it her way and settle the $1,000. I know that's bullshit because I'll just appeal it to the Supreme Court if I have to. A life insurance beneficiary cannot be overruled. It is unbroken law in the state of New Jersey unless you can prove that I took undue influence over your dad. He was the one that had undue influence over me. He wouldn't marry me. He worked for naval intelligence at MacArthur Naval Base, gave you an security clearance. He had a degree in history. He's friends with former presidents, Madeleine Albright, he went to school with. He had lawyers governing his estate. You had your own lawyer governing his estate in case you disagreed with it. He taught up to 7 months before he died. The doctor said when he went in the hospital, I called 911, he had a degree in psychology. He was a military psychologist. He was the one that had undue influence over me. He wouldn't even marry me, for God's sake. I have a clean FBI check. I passed like over 50 FBI checks when I was a member of the YMHA Hebrew Association on One Pike Drive in Wayne. Every year or 4 years, they give you one because they're scared of getting bombed. I have no fraud, no crime, no drugs, nothing. No violence, so why would I start now? When your father already gave me, $7 million anyway. You have no excuse, you have no proof, and you've been making Starr suffer, and you told 5 lawyers that you don't care if I die. You told your father you don't care if I died when you didn't buy the ticket to let me see my daughter graduate in Hawaii last year, and now she hates me. You caused my children stress when you said that you don't have to buy the ticket, you said you use your frequent flyer miles to let me see my daughter, as you promised your father and me. When you didn't give me his new car, as you promised, I recorded that. When you didn't give me the $25,000 personal check within 2 days, so I'll never be, quote, destitute. You promised your dad on speakerphone. He had me record. You're in a lot of trouble, including Judge Judi, because you're now all under FBI and Department of Justice investigation. This is called a civil criminal federal crime. Why? The Federal Department of Justice and the FBI puts it right up there with espionage and terrorism. Why? Any crime against a permanently disabled person in the state of New Jersey, corruption, hurting them, depriving them of their basic human needs when you know you're doing it wrongly, will get your life in prison and have all your money transferred to me, equitably, from them. They can disbar a lawyer, take back throw a judge off, they can take away a medical license. They can't impeach the president, but they'll go after anybody else, congressman. So it looks like you guys have a little bit of trouble. Now, when I get into that video court to Judi on the 12th, just so you have the heads up, I deal with diplomacy and the International Criminal Court. I was part of the defense team. I was an advisor for the defense team on some cases involving the highest court in the world. war criminals and things, and your Jeannie Stark Frankel's father paid for my legal education at NYU and elsewhere. So all I'm going to say to you is try to overthrow it, basically. I have this, the preponderance of the evidence. Jeannie has nothing her lawyers, Bostinwick or her, can say are admissible because their personal opinion, hearsay, they don't have ESP, conspiracy theories, there's no evidence, there's no eyewitnesses. She didn't even know her father gave me the life insurance so he died and she had to pay taxes on it. She always hated me. You won't let, only Jeannie can have witnesses, Judge Judy. I quote better, settle the case for $1,000, you're going to quote make mistakes in my probate matter and I'll end up with nothing, Judge Judy. I told you I had witnesses all along. Now you're not forbidden. Only Jeannie can have witnesses. I got news for you. You're going to end up in jail. Trust me.